What's up everybody, welcome to my channel. Today I'm gonna continue working on the Lexus. So I'm just gonna continue from where I left off on the last video. I was replacing the shocks for the hood and I already got both of them installed. These are the old ones. So I'm gonna be throwing this away because I don't need them anymore. So it's a lot nicer now because I don't have to use the vice grips to hold the hood open, and the hood's not gonna fall on me anymore. So that's a good thing. So I'm gonna remove all the brackets and I'm gonna try to powder coat the brackets and a couple of other things. I'm also gonna start working on the harness, and I gotta finish my upper radiator hose. I think I'm just gonna do a custom tube, and I'm just gonna use some silicone hoses to connect it. The upper radiator hose I bought wasn't long enough, so I don't mind doing my own out of stainless. And I just gotta install the O2 sensor and the map sensor and a couple of other things, but that's pretty much it. I'm almost there. I'm excited, I'm happy. I can't wait to turn it on and drive it and see what it does. But I'm gonna have to wait a little longer, get it done, and we'll see how it goes. Okay, so the first thing I'm gonna do, I gotta fix this right here, this problem. So the hose is not long enough, and I don't wanna buy another silicone hose because some of them are cheap, others are a little bit pricey. So what I'm gonna do is I'm gonna cut it somewhere and I'm gonna extend it with a piece of pipe. I'm gonna use, I think this is like 1.5 inches. I don't even know, I have to measure it, but I know I have material. So I'm gonna end up extending it. I'm just gonna clamp it and that's it. I'm just gonna do something simple. I got my upper radiator hose done. It's not really a hose anymore, it's a pipe. I'm just gonna clamp it down with these silicone fittings to the motor and to the radiator. So I'm gonna polish it a little bit more. It's not done. It's not the greatest, but it's gonna work. So what I'm gonna do next is I'm gonna connect this vacuum port. So I gotta have vacuum for my EVAP, for my map sensor, for my blow off, and maybe a couple of other things. So I'm gonna put this underneath the intake. So it's gonna go underneath, and I'm just gonna connect everything I need to connect to vacuum. I only have one vacuum port on the intake. So that's why I'm gonna be using this. I've used it in the past, and I used it on my Chrysler 300 and it's been working great. So I'm gonna go with this. And the last thing I need to do, I'm gonna connect my boost controller. So I got this boost controller from Drift Motion. I'm gonna probably connect it somewhere right here and to the turbo and wastegate, and I think that's gonna be it. After that I can start working on the harness. Okay, so I was gonna connect my vacuum port through a silicone hose to the intake manifold, but instead I'm gonna bolt it on to this AN fitting. So I'm gonna bolt it onto the vacuum port, and then I'm just gonna bolt on this to the intake manifold, and I think I'm gonna get a more accurate reading on the map sensor. So I'm gonna go ahead and do that right now, and I'm gonna run all the vacuum hoses I need to. Okay, so there's my vacuum port, and as you can see, I use a AN fitting to bolt it onto the intake. I was gonna use a vacuum hose, but I think it's better if I just bolt it on directly. That way I get a better accurate reading of the vacuum. So I'm gonna go ahead and powder coat these pieces, and while I powder coat this, I'm gonna start doing the harness. And finally I get to work on the harness. I'm excited, believe it or not. I'm excited because I'm almost done. This is the last thing I gotta do, but I wanted to do the harness since the beginning, and the reason why I didn't do it is because I'm undecided. I don't know if I should keep one harness and work from the original, or if I should do my own harness, take connectors from both and just do my own. I mean, regardless, I'm gonna try to do something clean, but I'm undecided. I don't know how to start it. I don't know how to do it. And believe me, I've done a couple of harnesses and they're not a big deal. I'm not concerned because I know how to do them. It's not like if I don't know what I'm doing. I know exactly what I'm doing, but I'm picky. At this moment, I'm being picky, and I want to do one thing, but at the same time, I want to do another thing. And I mean, at the end of the day, I don't know what to do, but I'm just going to go with it. I'm just going to flow with the harness. For now, the first thing I'm going to do is I'm going to open up my laptop and I'm going to compare both harnesses. So they're not exactly the same. They're similar. They share a lot of same connectors, but there's a couple of things that are different, you know, and you got to be careful because, I mean, for sure you could get it running and it'll work. But is it gonna work properly? Is it gonna run properly? Are you gonna have problems as you go along? So I wanna make sure there's no problems whatsoever. I'm gonna take my time on it. I'm just gonna get it going. So I'm gonna go ahead and open up my laptop and I'm gonna start comparing both harnesses. and then I'll decide if I use this one or if I use the original one. I was comparing the harness from the GE and the GTE, and there is a couple of differences. So I printed out both pinouts. So these three connectors, they go pretty much for the motors, for all the sensors and stuff. And then these two, they go to the body, the fuse box. So I'm not gonna worry about these three, I'm just gonna worry about these two. I'm gonna remove a couple of wires from here because I don't need all of them, but my main focus is gonna be on these two. And then the only differences on these two is like the traction control, some speed sensors, that the tach. So it's not a big deal. I'm gonna see if I'm able to make everything work, but I don't know as of right now. So I'm gonna go ahead and grab the harness and I'm just gonna start working on it. And I'm gonna try to wire it up the best I can. So we'll see what happens. I got my two harnesses right here. This is the one I'm gonna use from the GTE. And this is the GE. So I have a couple of connectors right here. I have this one, this one, this one, and this one. These two are gonna go to the computer. So I'm gonna make sure I just use the ones I need. And since they're similar, it's gonna be a little bit easier. This right here is for the immobilizer. I have a computer, so I'm gonna be using this computer. This one has the immobilizer, so I'm gonna make sure that it works, that the computer is able to communicate with the body control module, and I'm gonna try to program the computer to see if I'm able to program it. And if not, then I'm gonna use another computer without an immobilizer, but hopefully this one works. And if it doesn't work, then I'll just get another computer. I'm just gonna have to buy another one. So I'm not gonna use this harness. I already removed the pins that I'm not gonna need. So pretty much these wires right here, this is the oxygen sensor, I think it's the bank one, but I'm not gonna need this wire anymore because the other harness has it, and I removed it from this connector right here. So on the other harness that I'm gonna use, I have these three connectors, but I don't have this one. And this wire, I think this is like the alternator wire, and then this is just the battery. This is some kind of battery wire. I don't know what it powers up, but I'm not gonna care right now. And I'm assuming this is like the alternator. I'm gonna check and make sure, but I still don't know yet for sure. So I'm not gonna worry about that. All I know is that I might need these two wires, and then the rest of the harness, I don't need it. So I'm gonna start working on this one. I'm gonna take it all apart. I'm gonna clean it up, and I think I have to shorten it for what I did on the engine. But either way, I'm gonna start off by taking it all apart, and I'm gonna try to clean it up as best as I can. I'm gonna keep on working on the harness. I'm almost done with this one. I just gotta finish adding these wires. So these wires, I grabbed them from that harness, and I just put them in the connectors. I'm gonna put insulation on these wires, and I'm gonna install it on the car. I gotta extend a couple of wires because I'm gonna put the mass airflow on this side instead of on the turbo side. So it's gonna go on this side, and also the coolant temp on the GTE, it goes right here, and on the GE it goes underneath the intake. So I'm gonna run those wires to the bottom of the intake. I mean, just a couple of things here and there that I gotta switch, not a big deal. But for the meanwhile, while I finish the harness, I'm gonna show you guys how I powder coated the piping and a couple of brackets. I already started powder coating everything. I'm done with the brackets. Now I'm gonna do the pipes, so I have them ready. This is what I'm using to powder coat the parts. This was the cheapest one I was able to find, but so far it's doing a good job. So I'm gonna finish this, throw it in the oven. Once I get it out, we'll see how it looks. So this is how it looks before you throw it in the oven, and let me show you guys how it looks after. Okay, so this is how it looks after. So I'm still waiting for it to dry completely. I'm gonna leave it here for a couple of minutes, and then I'm gonna show you guys all the pieces together. So here's all my pieces powder coated. These are the pipes, the rail, and a couple of brackets. They don't look that bad for being my first time. So now that they dry, I'm gonna go ahead and install them. So I'm pretty much done with the harness. I left the wires or the connectors extra long just in case. So I didn't do much. All I did was I just left the stock GT harness the way it is, and I just kind of like put tape and insulation. So I'm gonna go ahead and install it. I don't think it's gonna be easy because I have a lot of stuff going on, but I think if I remove the operator ear hose and the power steering pump, I should be able to get underneath the intake and start running all the wires and connecting everything. Then after that, I'll just put those two back on, and I gotta add antifreeze, and I also gotta add power steering. So for now, I'm gonna go ahead and install the harness, and I'm gonna crank it and see if it starts. So hopefully it'll start no problem. I'm already finished installing the harness. So I just put the pipe and the computer right here, because before I completely bolt on the computer, I think I'm gonna put it somewhere right here. But before I do that, I wanna make sure that the car's gonna start and I'm not gonna have any problems. So I'm gonna go ahead and start the car. I already connected the master flow, so the master flow is right here. And I have to put the pipe on so that I don't get any vacuum leaks. The computer's all connected, everything's ready to go. So I'm gonna go ahead and I'm gonna try to start it. I'm gonna turn the key on once, turn it off, and then turn it back on and crank it so that I can build some fuel pressure. I think it's gonna start right away because I make sure I connected everything properly. So let's give it a try. And the car is really dusty because it's been sitting here for a while. But let's see if it starts. All right, so I was able to hear the fuel pump. All right, so I did it 3 times. I'm gonna go ahead and crank it. Start right up. And so it sounds pretty good. I have to let it warm up, so I'm gonna rev it up just a little bit. It's shaking a little bit, but I mean, I gotta let all the oil flow inside the motor for the lifters and everything. But I mean, it's not that bad for being the first start. So let's go ahead and rev it a little bit. Yeah, so it sounds pretty good. I haven't added any antifreeze, so I'm not gonna leave it on for that long. I just wanted to make sure it was gonna start. So I'm gonna go ahead and turn it off, and I'm gonna finish installing the computer. I'm gonna connect this properly, the intercooler pipe. I'm gonna add antifreeze, and then I think I have to add a little bit more power steering fluid. I just added enough to turn it on, and then I'm gonna give it another try, and hopefully I'll be able to drive it next time I turn it on. Okay, so I'm almost done with the car. I already installed the piping. I gotta make a little hole to clear the sensor, the master flow sensor. It's hitting on the sheet metal, so I'm just gonna cut like a little hole to clear it because the piping didn't go all the way in the coupler. So I'm gonna do that right now. The other thing I gotta do, I'm gonna connect the computer. I'm gonna put it right here, so it's gonna go behind the bumper. And since the computer is not waterproof, I think I'm gonna seal it with silicone. Then after I finish sealing it with silicone, I'm gonna install it behind the bumper. I'm gonna do some brackets to hold it, and I'm just gonna leave it there. So it's not the safest place for the computer to go, but I have no other choice. The other option would be putting it right here on this side, but I would have to extend the wires, and I don't want to do that. My other option was to put it right here, but honestly it's not gonna look good right there, so I have no choice but to put it behind the bumper. So I'm gonna go ahead, finish that, and I should be done with the car. I'm gonna go ahead and start it up, and I'm gonna drive it. I'm gonna take it for a drive, and hopefully everything works no problem. If it needs any adjustments, I'm just gonna go ahead and take care of that. But I mean, for the most part, it should be done. I ended up putting the computer right here. So I still gotta do a couple of things so water doesn't go in. I sealed the whole computer because it's not waterproof, so I put silicone all around it. So it should be good. I'm not gonna put the bumper on yet because I wanna drive it the way it is in case I have to do any other adjustments. I don't wanna have to remove the bumper and put it on and remove it and put it on. So I'm gonna wait on that. And the motor, for the most part, it's done. I just gotta top off some of the fluids. So I'm gonna go ahead and take it out. I'm gonna drive it, make sure everything's good, do my last adjustments, and I'm gonna throw the bumper on, and that should be it. So here it is. I'm almost done with the car. I just gotta throw the bumper back on, and I gotta do a couple of other things, but just minor stuff. I already drove the car, and I mean, it drives pretty good. So I'm gonna go ahead and turn it on in a minute, and I'm gonna take it for a drive. But I wanted to show you guys how it looks. So this is how it's gonna look. Of course, I'm gonna throw the bumper on like I said. But the engine bay, I mean, it's not the best, but I mean, it looks decent enough. It looks good enough for being a sleeper. Not so much a sleeper, it's gonna be a daily driver, and it's gonna be a little bit fun and reliable car. That was the intention, make it a little faster and reliable. And I mean, I drove it and it's not a little faster, it's pretty fast for what it is. I mean, nothing crazy, but for being a stock car, I mean, it's pretty fun and pretty fast. So I'm gonna go ahead and turn it on for you guys, then I'm gonna go ahead and drive it. So I do have a couple of lights on. Most of them are the traction control and probably the ABS. Actually, just the traction control. Since I put a different computer, the wires are not exactly the same, and honestly I didn't want to mess with the traction control. But I mean, anything other than that, it sounds pretty good. I really like how it sounds. So let me go ahead and show you guys. I mean, it's pretty quiet. The exhaust, surprisingly, it's not that loud. Only when you hit the gas it's loud, but if you're cruising or idle, I mean, it's decent. And let me go ahead and show you the engine. So it's pretty smooth. And pretty much what I did was I used the GTE pistons, the rods, and the oil pump. Everything else is from the GE. And of course I put the turbo and the intake. The injectors, I ended up going with the 440s. So these are Bosch 440s. Let me rev it for you guys. Another thing, I got the 6262 turbo from Drift Motion. This is a 0.84 AR housing, so it's a little bit big. It's not that big, but for what I have, it's a little bit bigger because I was gonna put a piggyback and I was gonna try to make more power. So I just ended up using the stock injectors, and I think I'm gonna leave it at whatever power it makes right now. I'm gonna probably do like 14 pounds at the most, but anything other than that, let's take it for a drive. So we're gonna do another little pull over here. It's pretty good, it's pretty fast. All right guys, so that's gonna be it for this video. Thank you guys for watching, and if you guys have any questions, if you're working on a similar project and need help, let me know. I'll try to answer as soon as I can and as best as I can. But like I said before, that's gonna be it. Thank you for watching. Don't forget to subscribe, and I'll see you guys next time. Thank you.